Recently, I started watching Cyberpunk Edgerunner. I've been playing a lot of Cyberpunk 2077, so I thought because people kept recommending to me the show and saying, "Hey Troom, have you watched Cyberpunk Edgerunner? It's one of the best shows I've ever seen," I had to give it a 1-2 try. And let me just say, this really puts into perspective how sad and I'd say depressing the Cyberpunk universe really is, and how insane the future is in this Cyberpunk universe. I've also listened to a few lore videos as well, but if you've ever watched Edgerunner, we both know that David, Lucy, Maine, Rebecca, Dorio, Kiwi, Pillar, Falco, all of these people are the main characters we see 90% of the time. Now, I didn't finish the last 2 episodes yet, but I can almost predict how this is gonna go. I guarantee you David gets cyberpsychosis and ends up going absolutely insane. Now, when you're playing the actual game, I don't know this for sure, but my prediction is that the reason V doesn't go and get cyberpsychosis is specifically because of the relic inside his head. Otherwise, he would have gone insane on my character a long time ago. Now, in the game, it shows you a good representation of what Night City is, but in between every single part of that, I don't think you see all the small glimpses of what you truly get out of Night City. Well, if you watch Edgerunner, you see all of it. Everyone's pretty much broke, everyone's poor, and or working for Arasaka or Militech, and there are people on the streets using VR goggles, and then they have a special buddy with them. That special buddy that's just laying there in the street. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. It's one of those guys, has a suction cup and all that stuff, works perfect. But that's what it is. That's this Night City life. Most people are broke and homeless, and they're ruthless. No one cares about anyone else. Even the quote-unquote cyberpunks, which honestly I thought that was just a name for the show. I did not know that they actually identified themselves as cyberpunks, which is definitely new information. I don't know how much I actually like that personally, because I think it's a little bit cheesy that they're like, "Yeah, I'm a cyberpunk," but it is what it is. This puts massively into perspective, though, what the universe of Cyberpunk looks like and what it truly is outside of the game. And apparently there is a new season of Edgerunner coming out, which I've been told, don't know if it's true or not, but I've been told this. And the show shows you everything in Night City that you don't see or don't notice while you're a mercenary or destroying everything, whatever you want to call V, inside of 2077. I know he's a street kid, and David counts as a street kid at this point. He gets the Berserk device. I can never remember the actual name of it. He gets the Berserk device because his mom dies, was supposed to sell it to Maine, and it just goes from there. All of the companies you find that's out in standard Cyberpunk are ruthless and don't care about actually continuing humanity. And with the small amount of lore that I've heard so far, the reason the Blackwall even exists is so AI can't come and totally take over, which that's a whole other subject on its own, but if you really look at our reality currently, because of how we're creating AI, unfortunately, it's a possibility where AI could definitely have a chance of taking a lot of stuff over and just using raw logic instead of, same situation that kind of happened in iRobot. Vicky saw us as children who couldn't take care of ourselves, so she forced herself to take care of us. And we did not have a choice whether we liked it or not. And Cyberpunk, probably very similar, okay? Now they have emotional AI in iRobot, and that's the only one that really came to fruition. That's the only one you could really count on to survive, because you could feel human emotions. And in current day, what do you think we're setting up our AI as? You think it's going to be emotion and understanding what the human context is in situation, or just getting the logic situation done and completed? Now, I know I'm comparing a movie by Will Smith years ago to a video game that had that almost exact situation happen in a lot of ways, but still, I feel like it kind of correlates to what we're in today. And of course, now we're not in a situation where in Cyberpunk, in that universe, the European Union decided to team up with the Soviet Union before they had a large AI war or whatever. I know there was some sort of war, can't remember what it was. But this is possibly one of the worst futures anywhere could ask for. Because you either survive or you die. Obviously, that's very prevalent in the game, by how many gangs there are, how the police react to people, and how the fact that in Cyberpunk Edgerunner, if you don't have proper insurance, they're not even going to do any surgery that your insurance doesn't cover, even if it saves your life. Which is just really something, dude. So this is a show where, end game, all ethics of healthcare no longer matter. They're no longer there. They don't care about you. They never really cared about you to begin with, which, I mean, might be the situation now. I'm not sure what. I don't go to the doctors too often, but when I do, I always feel like they at least care a little bit. But it seems like it's definitely a possibility out of all the video games I've played to happen. Now, I watched a video from a creator called Asdacross the other day, and he was kind of reviewing a video of a guy who was talking about how America has two ways of advancing AI. And in the NUSA, they kind of let the AI do what the race theory was, which is pretty much continue all the way to the end, and it was theorized that the AI, unless caught and stopped, would create a biological weapon wiping all of humanity out. Now, in Cyberpunk, to take care of this, they built the Blackwall to try and stop any AI from coming through. But any AI, if you somehow get through the Blackwall, you're screwed. Those AIs are going to run rampant on you and do not care what or how you do anything. And it's really unfortunate that that's what it's come to. And now Arasaka owns pretty much all of the US. Militech owns a good portion of it as well. And these companies only bring you to school, which, let's not lie, David's mom probably paid an arm and a leg for on a consistent basis, just so he could survive and become, I guess, wealthy when older. But it's kind of like that old song that I don't remember the name of, but they played in the South Park episode, and I think about it every time I go to work at times. I owe my soul to the company store, bum 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 bum. And you're just in a situation where you can't get away, no matter how hard you try, no matter how hard you want to. You're going to be forced in this situation because, well, what the one employee for Arasaka says, when you punched his kid and he found David and you kind of kidnapped him for a little bit and then he dies, he says the corpos always win. In this situation, the corpos have already won. They are the only way out. It doesn't even seem like the US government is actually a US government. It's just all ran by Arasaka, and Arasaka can do whatever the heck they want. I mean, for the love of God, they call someone an emperor in that. So I'm guessing that Japan must have taken over America at some point, because I don't read all of the shards and everything, and I've only learned so much about the basic lore, and I'm going to continue to learn more. That's really what I have and what I've seen. David's in a horrible situation, and V, he grew up in this. And there's a real possibility that this could become America. Besides maybe the fact that the European Union is helping out the USSR come back to life. Obviously that's gone, but who knows, the European Union could flip on America and go to the Russia, whatever. We're also in a situation where Cyberpunk 2077 is just such a fun game that I feel like it's hard to gain all of the context of how bad the rest of America truly is. Now, of course, we haven't been to New York City, like Somi, she's from Brooklyn. We haven't been to Chicago. We haven't been to Miami. We don't know what's really truly out there, and honestly, I think every time you go to the edge of the map, there's a big wall blown up and blocked off anyway. So we don't really know what's going on with the rest of America. Does Arasaka own there, or is it just Night Cities and possibly ran by Militech? How are we doing it? It almost feels slightly Hunger Games situations, except the Hunger Games are still owned by, I don't think are owned by big companies. They're owned by a totalitarian dictatorship government. I still think that maybe a company would be better off because at least they need you there to thrive, or else who's going to buy their product? Absolutely no one. And in a dictatorship, they don't care if you're alive because they're still going to be able to do whatever they want whenever they want. But I guess you kind of say, in a way, Arasaka is a dictatorship. Now, what I will say here is David and V have generally, it seems, nothing in common besides losing someone very close to them. But it's hard to find anyone in Night City who hasn't lost someone close to them in any way or form. And obviously, one seems to blast people with their hand cannons, and one you can customize to do whatever you absolutely want. And that's generally the context of the store. Of course, you have a Rip Doc and 2077 all over the place, and in Edgerunner, you generally only see one from what I could tell of. I mean, the shows show what America could become, and the game shows you all the cool sides with a little bit of the sad sides during the missions, but the show truly shows you this is what the corporations can do, and they might just try and do it. And if you're unlucky, they'll be successful. And 90% of people will be homeless, and you'll have to break into your house or apartment just to be able to live there. And it's pretty much a situation where you own nothing, barely even owning the actual chrome that's inside of you. The only reason that our boy David owns that chrome is because he stole it off his mom's jacket, and Maine was nice enough to let him keep it, even though Maine was going insane anyway, which honestly, he should have taken the 10 suggestions to, hey, maybe take some of your implants out. That might be able to help your brain repair a little bit. But instead, he decided to go harder, making Kiwi pretty much almost dead. And then, you know, Barbara, that's not her name, but close enough. What was her name? Dorio? No. Rebecca? No. I don't know. I always forget her name. But she was not really around there either. She ended up getting, I think it starts with a B, she ended up getting destroyed because of Maine's own insecurities and getting rid of his chrome. I mean, I'm not sure exactly Maine's back pass. I feel like a lot in Cyberpunk Edgerunner was overran and skipped over to just make it a one-season show, when honestly they could have taken Maine and David and the rest of that cast and had it be a multi-series show easily. I mean, this is obvious to me. They could have at least made it 2 seasons or 20 episodes minimally to really show you the in-depths of every single character. I feel like they barely went over the Lucy arc with anything. They kind of touched it. You knew her back past a little bit, but at the same time, in Cyberpunk, most of the time they don't want to talk about who they once were or what they once did anyway, because everyone there did something messed up. But if everyone there did something messed up, who's the judge? Why are you so afraid to say it? I guess that's my thought process on it. But yeah, Cyberpunk's a great game, but it's in the most depressing setting I think that America could possibly become into, which would be horrible, but you never know what the circumstances are until you're already there, right? So let's hope that we don't have that situation happen, but darn, does Edgerunner really put in place what is already seems to be coming in some ways and forms. I really hope that this isn't the situation, but I think out of all of the games I've played for futuristic titles and all of that, because we don't have aliens and there hasn't been any machine god to come and save us like in Destiny 2, we'd have to create our own. We're already almost there right now. We're creating our own machine god. And just like in that one video Asdacross showed everyone about AI, we have 2 choices. Either we make a logic-based robot, or we change it up, take a step back, and we make one that understands logic, human emotion, and every situation and how a human would handle situations, and the degree to make peace across the world, or at least mimic peace across the world if we go with the logic AI, but one that helps further humanity into a new golden age in ways, space age stuff, in ways we've never seen before, and one eventually destroys humanity. And all honestly, I think eventually destroying themselves and not realizing it until their logic is too flawed and too late. Now, do I think AIs will eventually need humanity? Of course, I think they're going to need us constantly. Even no matter how many robots they build, you still need a biological instrument to kind of help you through situations. Cyberpunk is a future in which they had AI conquer a lot of things and destroy and wreak a lot of havoc around the world. So they needed to build a Blackwall, but now those companies who helped build the Blackwall own the rest of the world, and there's nothing you can do about that. And that's the situation I don't want to see us in. But yeah, guys, let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know what you think. You all have a great day, night, and or evening, and thank you for stopping by.